Welcome to the Night Mode edition of the Mark Jackson Show. I'm Mark Jackson. This is my dynamic co-host, my guy Blue. The NBA draft is over. We're on the Come and Talk to Me network. The NBA draft is over. Bronny James goes to the Los Angeles Lakers. We'll have that and much more. Got a special guest as a former teammate of mine, a great friend of mine. But first, we got to pay some bills, Blue.
All right, Pops. It is a big day, but you're right. We got to pay some bills. So shout out to Underdog Fantasy. Go ahead and click the link in the description and use the promo code MARK, that's M-A-R-K, and they are matching a first-time deposit of up to $250. While you're at it, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget, man, show us some love. All right, Pops. Go ahead, man. Back to you.
Got a former NBA player, a 10-year vet in the league, former teammate of mine with the Toronto Raptors, went to Villanova. I don't know if he graduated or not, but who knows. Won the Big East title in 1997, drafted by the Portland Trail Blazers, traded a year later to the Toronto Raptors, retired in 2007, 3 years an assistant coach for the Toronto Raptors, currently calls games for the Toronto Raptors, a dear friend of mine, outstanding 6'5" point guard with a whole bunch of skills, and somebody I got a lot of respect for, the great Alvin Williams.
Oh, man.
Yes,
What's
sir.
up, bro?
That's a lot coming from you. The one thing you missed, never lost to St. John's in the Big East. Never.
Oh, I forgot. You also won the NIT championship, right? We didn't get the NIT, but you won the NIT championship. I might as well throw that in there also.
Yeah, for sure. 1994.
Let's jump right into it, because the big news, obviously, is Bronny James, and you being a player development coach and assistant coach for the Toronto Raptors and in charge of all those things. You know the process. Talk to me about Bronny James going to the Los Angeles Lakers and the challenges that he's going to face.
I mean, he's going to face challenges. That's just the nature of the beast. But I think he's well prepared for it. He grew up with that in his DNA, like the challenges, the scrutiny, the notoriety, all those things. So I think he's more than prepared for it. And from everything that I see, hear, his makeup is outstanding. Great work ethic, great understanding of the game, how to be a professional. And I think when you have that foundation, you know, you're on a good road for success. Now you got the pressure with your pop and all those things, but that's just a lot of loud noise. That's that white noise, right? I think he'll be all right. I think as long as he can get his opportunities, play, develop, and continue to get better, I think he's going to be a very good player in this league.
My question is, do you run the offense and say, "Dad, cut, Dad"? I mean, that's kind of weird.
I mean, you ask Blue. I mean, he probably push you through a little bit, let him handle a rock. You know what I mean?
No, it's not that awkward, Pops. We got some wins, man. We ran some courts together. What you talking about?
No, for sure. I mean, at the end of the day, he gonna be running the show. His pop is on his way out. Yeah, I mean, you gotta get down and lay down, Pop. It's my time.
Wait, one thing that I didn't really enjoy. I love the fact that Bronny's in the NBA, and I'm the person that's always caping for Bronny, so I love it. I did not really enjoy the report. I heard Bob Myers say Rich Paul was on the phone calling teams and saying, if you're not the Suns or the Lakers, don't pick Bronny or he's going to Australia. Now it's getting too much, because if we're gonna play the game of respecting Bronny as a player, then you should just leave your hands off of it. When you start to dictate where he's gonna end up, I see your hand, Pops. Put your finger down. Let me get my point off, Pops. You got the I put your head down. Now, as I was saying, it's different when he earns it. You want to put him in a position where he earns it. You don't want to come into the Lakers and say, okay, this was a direct call from LeBron or JJ Redick or somebody gave this to him. And I don't think that's the circumstance, but when you put your hands in the pot like that, it sure looks like it. So go ahead, Pops. It's your turn.
Well, I got to jump in, and I'm sure Alvin will agree, having gone through the process. When you have the power, utilize the power. Rich Paul wasn't the only agent wheeling and dealing on draft day, determining where his player was going to go and where he didn't want to go. Rich Paul had the power. He utilized it. And when they have the power, they take advantage of it. So I had absolutely no problem with it. It was documented by Bob Myers what Rich Paul was doing. But that was going on yesterday. It's going on today, and it'll go on tomorrow. Can I get an amen, Alvin?
Amen. Amen. You hit it right on the head. It might have been going on before that when LeBron first started talking about he wanted to play with, his son. So I think back in '96 when Kobe came out and he found out and his team found out, I think it's Arn tell him, and I
Right.
might be wrong, right, but this is the news I was getting, that they start calling teams, don't draft him. I remember the New Jersey Nets really liked him at 7. They ended up drafting Kerry Kittles, who was a great player, but once they found out that the Lakers had interest in Kobe, they was like, don't draft him or he's going over to Italy to play for a year. And, that's been going on since the beginning of the time, those agents having that power. And it's good for Bronny to be in that situation, have that type of support, have that team. Got some powerhouses behind him. That's going to help somebody's career a lot, as long as you continue to show and prove with your skill.
No, you're right.
Now,
It was
now,
Arn Tellem and it was Jerry West with the Los Angeles Lakers at the time that they basically dictated to the New Jersey Nets to not draft Kobe Bryant. Go ahead, Blue.
no, I'm just so excited that both of y'all agree on this and that y'all are on this side, because I want to know, who is they?
When you say they, what do you mean?
No, I'm playing, Pops. You don't got to answer. I'm playing. All right.
But
I want to know. Oh, go ahead, Pops. Go ahead.
no, think about how incredible. We watched, y'all maybe a little too young to remember, Ken Griffey Jr. and Ken Griffey Sr. sharing the same outfield. How incredible. Not in a million years would I think we get a chance to see that in an NBA game. That's an incredible accomplishment and something that we can't just sweep under the rug. I love the way it was covered, and in fairness, it's something that we may never see again.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about all the pieces just coming together and being aligned. LeBron playing not just at a high level and how long he's playing, but he's playing where he has the influence. He set up an infrastructure where it's an agency, it's all these other entities that can help them maneuver in situations like that. And then you raise a family, you help raise the family along with your wife and other support systems, but you raise people that can be put in that type of situation where that piece of the puzzle can actually come to fruition. So to your point, Mark, like that's crazy to even fathom that. And you're right, we may never see that again. Players are playing longer, but what's the odds of you raising a child that's good enough to be in that position? So yeah, it's fascinating to see this position and how everything's developing.
I want to know, coming off of this draft that we just watched, maybe get both of your opinions of who is the biggest winner of this NBA draft. Let's start with Alvin.
No, don't start with me because I'm to be honest with you. I can't name 5 people in the draft. I'll be honest with you. I really can't. I got to get down, do my research from now to time to do my broadcasting. So, but I mean, it's just difficult. The landscape of drafting, the landscape of all this stuff has changed so much. Like I look at somebody as good as, and I love the kid Reed Shepherd, right? Coming out of Kentucky. He's the 3rd pick. I mean, that man might not play. Like he may not play because it's a tough grind. And can he play? Yes, but it's just like the landscape of drafting is just so different. And I'm not fortunate enough to see the international players, so I don't know what they actually can do either. So it's just really, I don't have a grasp on who would be the winners and who you can look at as far as, till the season starts and you just see the long-term effect.
My apologies. I didn't mean to throw it to you like that.
Yeah,
Because
you put me.
honestly,
I
I don't
asked
really.
before what we talking about. If y'all would have said draft, I'd have been like, yo, man,
No.
Woj or somebody.
The funniest thing is I spent yesterday after the draft, I spent about 20 minutes practicing. I got this Invisalign. I'm practicing Zachary Risa, and it took about 20 minutes to get it just for me to say it one time. So don't feel bad. You're not the only one watching like, yo, who are these dudes?
Yeah, I have no clue.
Yeah.
But one player that jumps out to me though is Memphis Grizzlies selecting Zach Edey, Player of the Year in college basketball, dynamic big man. You look at the success they had with Steven Adams, with putting him in the middle of that lineup, and Zach Edey is a guy you can play through, you can post up, tremendous skill, great size. Now he's going to be challenged defending the pick and roll, but I think he's on the offensive end, the ability to set screens and play off of John Morant and Desmond Bain and the guys and Jackson and all the guys they have. I thought it was an outstanding pick, and he's a guy that I expect to make a pretty good run at Rookie of the Year. He's in a great situation.
I'm intrigued to see how he does. You know, he's got a lot of backlash. Even I think last year, if he had the opportunity to come out, this year I think he showed a little bit more. I got a chance to see him play in the World Cup games that helped Canada qualify for the Olympics this summer, and he didn't get much time, but it was a faster game. It was a lot of the pro game, dribble handoffs, slipping, you know, playing closer to the basket when he got his opportunities. But man, around that paint, he was so efficient. Like he was finishing everything. And it'd be interesting to see. You mentioned Mark if they play through him or if they, I mean, whatever his role would be. I'm looking to see how he plays defensively. You know, if they pull him away from the basket, if he's switching, all of these things. How do you hide him or how do you use him in a way where he can be effective? But I'm with you, man. Like someone that big and has done that well, I think you have to give a person like that a shot because a lot of times it's not about what they can do, it's about what they have inside of them. And if he has that dog inside of him that's going to help him get better and continue to get better, I think you're right. Memphis Grizzlies might have got one.
Let me ask you a question. What was your draft day hookup? Tell us about your experience.
Oh, man. I was in Philly. I went and played a summer league game, and then I cut my grass because I wasn't really projected to get drafted. I was
Hold
trying
on, you played a summer league game?
myself.
You played a summer league game on that day?
What? And the dude, you know, the heckler out there, I was in an area called the Hollows in Germantown. Dude kept saying, Sham got better than you. That's why he don't get drafted. You not. And damn if Sham went 46 to the Washington Wizards, and I went 48th, dog. But you could not tell me. I hated Sham for like 3 years after that. He don't know that, though. Dude kept killing me. Sham better than you. You ain't better than Sham. He gonna get drafted. And he damn sure did.
Now I did some research. You talked a little bit about your college career. Now at Villanova, I know y'all lost to Cal, and on that Cal team, there was an NFL superstar. Can you talk a little bit about the experience of playing against Tony Gonzalez?
Yeah, I can. Yeah. Hey, if y'all was gonna roast me, y'all should have just told me. You know what I mean? If y'all was gonna roast me, now I know why you called me, Mark. You know, comedian episode. All right, I got that. But hey, yo, the crazy thing is, we was playing Cal, and this is my senior year, so I'm selfish to a point. I'm thinking about I got to do work, man, so I can get drafted. All I wanted to do was beat Cal and play against Chauncey Billups because he was the guard. He's a big guard. I wanted to play against Chauncey Billups. I see Chauncey Billups in the hallway. I try to walk by him to size him up to see how tall he really is, to just try to get the metrics. I'm forgetting all about Cal. They had a guy named Ed Gray. I don't know if y'all remember Ed Gray. He was a scorer. I think Atlanta Hawks drafted him, but he was a scorer. I think he had like 60 points that season, but he had broke his foot. But our coach kept saying they have a football player. He plays a small forward, but he plays football. He's really not a basketball player. So I'm like, oh, all right, whatever. He was killing Tim Thomas. He was killing Tim Thomas. He was getting Tim Thomas with the pump fake, you know, the football player style. Like strong, get to the basket, pump fake. Tim flying, flipping over him. He going through Tim. He had 24 points, man. That man averaged like 4 points that season. He had 24 points.
Tony Gonzalez had 24 points against Tim Thomas?
I'm almost sure. And Tim going to kill me, but he was giving Tim problems.
Oh, no, this is crazy.
He's killing us, man. I think he had 24, and he averaged I was like, all right, he a football player. He probably averaged like 11. Maybe he get a chance to play because they said he played basketball as well. I finally looked at the game. It flashed up like 4.6 point average. I said, oh. My God. And as my man Michael Stewart was on the team. Remember Yogi?
Yogi, yep.
He played on the team, and when we was in Toronto, he was like, yeah, I ended your college career. Because he was I always had to lay that down. But yeah, Tony Gonzalez killed us, man. He killed us.
That's hilarious. I know that's only one of the players. You played with so many great players. But now if we could just spend some time talking about your time with the Toronto Raptors and how great of a player and how special of an experience was it to play with Vince Carter?
Oh, man. Toronto Raptors, man. That was once I got traded there, man, like not knowing much about Toronto, but I just had great teammates. You know, my teammates were unbelievable. I had a lot of old heads too, a lot of OGs. And, you know, when I got there, D Brown was one of the guys that really took me under his wing. D Brown got traded from Boston during that same trade because Kenny Anderson actually was in the trade. I got thrown in the trade. It was really Kenny Anderson and David Stockton. Kenny Anderson said, I'm not going. So they threw me in the trade, and then they didn't know what was going on. So end up Chauncey and D Brown end up getting traded to Toronto. But I had great teammates. And then the following year, that's when Vince got drafted in 98. And when Vince hit the scene, man, it was just like, it was the first game. And he just started doing things that we've never seen. But again, I think the most special moment for me was playing against playing with a lot of players that I looked up to. Charles Oakley, Kevin Willis, Muggsy Bogues, you know, D Brown. Like, I remember going to see D Brown when I was in 10th grade in Charlotte when he won the dunk contest. Like, I just remember those moments. And now I'm in a locker room sharing those moments. So that was the biggest thing. Then you got somebody like T Mac that you can see that was going to be a very good player. So it was just a dream come true being in the locker room with all those guys. And then fast forward and just being able to back up Mark Jackson. Just like be like Mark Jackson, the guy who shot free throws, did that. Man, like I was like, yo, man, like I remember when I played against him and I was a rookie in Portland, and then being on the same team, man, it was just him taking me under his wing. But then I had so many other players though. So it was my Toronto experience. I was very fortunate to be able to play most of my career there and be with the players that I was surrounded around.
I knew my days were numbered. We'd be in practice playing one-on-one afterwards. This dude spin dribbling, doing somersaults and handstands, catching it on the other side through the legs. I'm like, I'd still be laying on the ground trying that move. No, he was an incredible talent, and we had the best times playing one-on-one afterwards, just making each other better basketball players and preparing each other.
Now, it was so funny. One of the things so I remember when Mark first got traded to Toronto, and I was on my way out. I was pretty much, my career, I don't know what I was going to be doing because I wasn't playing much under the previous coach, Butch Carter. And that was my free agent year going into that. And I remember them calling me saying, you know, we got a new coach, Lenny Wilkins, and they were giving me information. Like, why are they telling me? Like, why are they telling me about the coach? Then they called me. It was like, we traded for Mark Jackson. And we still, you know, they telling me things like before they ain't tell me nothing. I was the low man on the totem pole. And then they started giving me information. Then I was like, oh man, Mark Jackson, I ain't gonna never play. I ain't gonna get off. I was the longest summer league. I had the longest summer league tenure of any player. I played in the summer league probably 4 straight years, 4 straight summers. I was like 26 playing summer league. And Mark came, and then I never forget the one time, I forgot what team I wanted. It was the first team and second team. And the first team, they beat us. And then Coach Wilkins switched me and Mark. And I was playing with the first team, and then he was playing with the second team. And he just showed me how to navigate a team. And then they beat us. Second team beat the first team. And I'm like, damn, man. Like, this man really, really conducts and really makes everybody better. Whether they needed to score, post up, pass. And that's when I really was like, I'm so fortunate to be able to play with Mark Jackson. And then years later, Rod Strickland came. So I got a chance to play with Muggsy Bogues, D Brown, Rod Strickland, Mark Jackson. Like, man, I got so much wealth of knowledge from those guys. It was amazing. But it was phenomenal playing there.
Talk about our days riding in the car listening to rap music.
Well, I mean, I listened to it. You wasn't really listening. You wasn't listening to it. I think you were doing it to appease me. But I think you was the only person. You had an exclusive. You must have got it from Russell Simmons or somebody. You had a Beanie Siegel. No, Jay-Z. What's that? Yeah, it's Rockefeller. You had a Beanie Siegel PG version of his album in blue. We going to the airport. So that Mark was always my ride to the airport. We going to the airport, and then Beanie Siegel, my man, I love him. I'm going to MF this, da-da-da. I'm in the streets. Mark was like, hey, yo, Bug. Yeah, if I wanted to hear the curse words, I would have bought the explicit version. But, you know, before that, I didn't realize you never cursed, man. I didn't realize that. but I'm cursing my head off. I'm singing Eric word for word. Hey, yo, Bug, if I wanted to hear the curse words, I would have got the explicit version.
He was punching every line, knew every line with clarity.
That's hilarious. He's not lying either. You played edited music from the car when I was growing up. I ain't hear no curse words. First time I ever went out to a spot, trust me, Pops, Lord forgive me, I stepped outside. I had to say one curse word.
Hey, yo, so why didn't you curse? It was just you weren't raised like you didn't curse.
No, it's not like I never cursed. I stopped cursing when I became a Christian. Probably I haven't said a cuss word since 1989. So my kids has never heard me say a cuss word, and it's just trying to be better. That's all. Trying to use other ways to
What
punch
you
a
say,
line.
Farg Fig Newton and stuff like that?
Say it again.
You say like Farg Fig Newton when you get mad or something?
No, there's other ways to do it. I don't go to the line. If you go to the line, you might go over it. So there's other ways to emphatically punch home your points.
Alvin, it's some debatables in there though. We heard some things from he hit his leg one time. We think we heard him say something from the other room. He says no though, but it was
This dude's lying. No,
I tell you what else Mark put me on. Can I tell this story? We used to go to the mall and shop, and he introduced me to a store named Imposters. The way these earrings, he's the way like $7. He's like, why am I paying a lot of money for earrings? I got it. They don't think it's real. I'm like, this man taking me to a store named Imposters. And he's
Yo, Pop using imposters. What's going on?
the store was named
that.
Imposters.
You was the starting point guard for the Raptors going to imposters?
I don't recall.
He was a legend. He was the starting point guard. He's in a champion. Like, that's Mark Jackson.
What's going on, man?
I don't recall.
I gotta double check. He gave me some jewelry, some different things he passed down. I gotta go double check now. I'm going to the
double check that.
In the morning.
If your pinky starts turning green, no, it doesn't fit imposters. Look for the receipt.
I passed down a presidential Folex.
No, it was just your diamond. You used to have them diamond joints.
Young and dumb. But let me ask you a question. Playing for the Toronto Raptors, obviously Dell Curry was a teammate of ours. Talk about watching a young Steph Curry come into the gym, getting up shots, dreaming of one day being an NBA player.
Couldn't even see it coming. And I didn't, I was mentioning the point guards, but yeah, Dell Curry was somebody else there, man. I remember Dell Curry used to kill me in practice too, but just watching, and it was, to me, Mark, and correct me if I'm wrong, it was never forced. Like, it was never forced that he was there, like, putting them through drills, working out. He was just being in the gym, him and Seth, running around, shooting, playing guys 1-on-1, 2-on-1, and things like that. But you can see, like, Seth, both of them, but Steph really could shoot from 3-point range, like early on from deep. And he was probably 11 or 12 years old. But, to be honest with you, man, it was amazing to all you guys. Like, Blue, you was there, Steph, the kids, Muggsy at one point before he had his son there. Kelly Olynyk used to be there. Like, his dad used to have Kelly. Like, it was so many players just around that would be in that locker room in that gym. But it was I couldn't imagine Steph being as good as he, like, one of the best that we've ever seen. But once again, you can see he loved the game. But again, it wasn't forced. I never saw the energy of him forcing him to be in that gym. He just loved being there.
Now, I know you and my pops have a mutual friend, another Philly guy, Katino Mobley, that y'all are close to. Y'all got any cat stories for us?
Cat crazy, man. Cat crazy. Cat crazy. Cat crazy, man. Me and Cat grew up together. Like, right? So I met Cat, we probably like 14 or 15. Cat was a late bloomer. Cat was somebody who played like a power forward in high school. He used to have all these dudes, Catholic League. It was a tough league in Philly. And they used to set all these screens, but Cat could shoot. And he would shoot from anywhere, and he was athletic. But he really couldn't dribble. He wasn't, but year after year, he got better. So by the time he graduated, he didn't have a lot of interest. So he ended up going to prep school, MCI. And that year, he came back. He got stronger, and you can just tell he focused on his game, and his focus was just on another level. He wanted to be great. So he used to surround himself. Like, we had a lot of players like Rasheed Wallace and like Big Mark Jackson, the Big Mark Jackson. And then Eddie Jones and Aaron McKee, they were all at Temple at the same time. So we all used to be in the same gym working out. But Cat just leaps and bounds, just got better and better. And his confidence got better and better, higher and higher. So, but Cat always was a crazy, energetic, like life of the party, needed that attention, but he had that type of energy. Cat was wild. He's more mild-mannered now than he was as a kid. Like, he's crazy. Cat used to be the boy, take the ball, throw it over the fence, go get it. Like Cat was crazy, man. Cat was crazy. But that's my brother, man. That's my brother.
And now in Philly, talk about those runs. I don't know your answer to this, but did you encounter a young Kobe Bryant at the time?
So it's crazy because Kobe's dad used to coach our son. We had a league called Sunny Hill League, and he used to coach our all-star team. We really didn't have AAU. Sunny Hill didn't allow us to travel, but he would put teams together according to our grades, and other teams from other areas would come and play us. And we had a lot of like Rasheed Wallace, again, I mentioned him, Cat, Mark Jackson, Jason Law. Like, we had a lot of good players, but Kobe's dad, Coach Bryant, Jelly Bean, he coached us. So he used to bring Kobe in the gym, and Kobe used to practice with us. So Kobe's like 12 years old. And I just remember my pop picking me up one time saying, so who's going to start? You going to start? The other kid going to start? I don't know who he is. I said, Dad, that kid 12 years old, man. He ain't starting. He's not starting on our team. He don't play on our team. But I went to Villanova, and Kobe lived around the corner in an area called Ardmore. But he had a lot of family from West Philly. And you couldn't, he was different. He was different. So a young Kobe Bryant definitely was on the radar. He really took off when I was in college and he was like in high school. But he used to come to Villanova, play against us, and act like he was the best player on our team. Wouldn't pass to us. I was a senior, he wouldn't pass to us. And he was a freshman. He was a senior in high school. So yeah, we got a chance to see him. And Kobe and I, he had two older sisters, and that's how we kind of attracted. I had two older sisters. So, you know, Kobe, we were really close. We were really close early on, and then he got drafted, of course, but really close to his family and everything. But it was good times back then.
Yeah, rest in peace to Kobe.
No,
I want to know, spinning off of that, Kobe was somebody who always showed love to the overseas game, the international game. What do you make of the amount of international players that seemingly are taking over this league?
I mean, you see it, right? You see the development piece, but you see the way the league is going. And I'm not one of the conspiracists guys, but over time, my pop used to work for Major League Baseball. So he used to give me a lot of information. I guess the major leagues would all share information, whether it was, he used to do security. So they used to have different meetings all together, I guess. But he used to always say they're looking to turn the game international. And I finally think that the NBA figured out how to do it. Style of play, the type of players. Like, it was a time, and Mark, you can speak to this better than I can. It seemed like back in the day when you brought an international player, they really struggled to adjust to the game. Now the game is in a way where it's an easy fit for them because the style of play is there, right?
Absolutely.
So I think that's helping, but you see that the player development is not as much as player developments other than team-oriented structure where these guys are learning how to play. And the other thing I think about now with our AAU system, and you can speak to this, Blue, because you played in it, I'm sure, international players, if you're good as a young player, they stick you with the grown men. You're playing on their national teams, and you're learning how to play with grown men. You're not playing with your age group. You're not reclassifying 17, playing in 8th grade, and doing all that stuff that they're doing over here. So, like, I think it's a good fixture for them to continue to grow and develop and take the game where it's going. But I do think it's intentional the way it's happening.
You make a great point. You think about Luka Doncic being a pro at 13 years old, playing with grown men. So when he got to the NBA, he was more than ready for that experience. He didn't have to make an adjustment.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to know, you spoke a little bit about AAU, and yeah, I did run through the whole circuit as all of us did playing basketball growing up, but it feels different now. So I want to know, Alvin, what do you think is the major issue with youth basketball right now?
I think it's the leadership. I think it's the coaches. I think it's the parents. I think the most influential people over the children, they're distracted. And I think they have agendas, selfish agendas on their own, where it's taking or it's diluting the process and the love that a kid's supposed to have, I think, with the game. And I think, of course, you want to get there. You want to get to the league. You want to be the best version you can be. But there's a process. There's a journey with it. And I think one thing is humanity. It's the human side of it. Like, you got to learn how to lose. You got to learn how to face defeat. You got to learn how to not play. You got to learn so many things. And I think the way coaches are coaching, and I can't speak for all of them, but for what I see the culture is, and I see these parents, it's hard for a kid to really become the best version of themselves. Because if you're preparing a kid to get to that next level, there's so many things that come with that. And I think the way these kids are being thrown out there and they're being handled in a way is unfair to their development and their maturity when the times get hard. And we all know this game's going to end at some point, and you're going to have to be faced with other life situations, which sometimes basketball, the journey of basketball, it teaches you and it helps you do that. But these kids, it's a different process. But I think ultimately the issue is, if there is an issue, or if somebody would consider as an issue, is the leadership. I think it's a great platform for AAU to develop education. I think it's a great platform to help players really understand the journey of it, whether it's from financial, whether it's mental health, whether it's preparation, nutrition. All of these things should be in the forefront that an athlete should be given. And I think the players, the coaches, and the parents should emphasize that more than what a kid is doing individually.
You got to be extremely proud on another note, as a Villanova grad, watching what the New York Knicks have been able to accomplish in assembling Villanova guys.
No, for sure. And the best thing for me is the character of those guys. Jay Wright has done a very good job. Villanova is always, they've always looked for a certain kid, family, their approach. They've always looked for that type of kid with a background. And Jay Wright did a really good job. Like, you go up to Villanova and Jay Wright will have those guys. They stop what they're doing. They come speak to you, whether you're an alumni, whether it's your kid, whatever. So that's the most pleasurable thing that I see. Of course, they're talented. Of course, they have the camaraderie. Of course, they're good people. But that's the biggest thing for me. I really enjoy them, the success that they're having. Even when they won those championships, 2016, 2018, it was really a joy to watch because they were good kids. They were really like good kids. I didn't want to be the old head like, damn, they still not better than my 1995 team that lost to Tony Gonzalez and them. We could still be better than those guys. You know what I mean? I don't want to be that guy. I was really happy for those guys, but they've been building up to that, with the Kyle Lowrys, the Randy Foys, the Allen Rays, and Jason Frazier. They've always had very good players, Curtis Sumter, and then Scotty. They've had a lot of good teams, and then this team really took it to the next level. But the character is really what I think is driving the success of those four guys on that team now.
Tell Blue about a former teammate of ours. People don't believe the stories, but Charles Oakley.
What you want me to tell him?
The Tyrone Hill story is legendary. The Jeff McGinnis story is legendary. We were on those teams and experienced those encounters.
Yeah. And the thing about Oak, man.
Alvin, you nervous? You say what? He started stuttering. It's okay. He's not here.
Hey, the best thing, I was glad that Oak was on our team. That's the best thing. Oak was my main man, still Oak to today. And Oak, I'm sure, Mark, you got more stories than I do playing with him with the Knicks. But the things that time when he smacked Tyrone Hill, man. Like, he smacked up, like, it was an exhibition game. But the year before, Mark, you wasn't on the team. So
right.
We played the Sixers the last game of the season. Something like that. And he was looking for Tyrone Hill. And he was just like, he didn't say why, but he was trying to get their ball boys to go over there and tell Tyrone Hill whatever. And they was like, no, he's not in the arena yet. So I guess Tyrone Hill didn't come to the game, or he was sick or whatever, called out sick. it rained out or something like that. And he so the next year, that was the first game in exhibition. So Oakley did a thing where after the national anthems, he would go and get the basketball and he would pass it to the team and he would just rebound. He wouldn't shoot anything, just rebound, let the guys that was going to shoot. But this time he passed the balls out and he walked down to the Sixers and he just walked through their line and Tyrone Hill's doing the same thing under the basket, passing the balls out. And he just smacked, wow, smacked. And I'm looking like, damn, I ain't no friends play like that. I thought they were I was like, why? And then he just turned around, walked back. Tyrone Hill was he smacked me. They tossed Oak out. Like, and then after that, man, like, it was on from that. Like, every time he saw Tyrone Hill, it was on. He was throwing basketballs at him. Like, it was crazy. I think it's a rule from Charles Oakley that the two teams can't cross during shoot-arounds no more. Like, one team got to be off the court before the other team. Like, that was Charles Oakley rule, I think, because he was just finding his time to go in people's mouths during shoot-around. Early in the like, you didn't wake up in the morning expect to get into an all-out rumble with, like, during the shoot-around, man. Maybe give me till 3 o'clock, not 9 o'clock in the morning. You got me fighting. And yeah, I didn't see him sucker punch McGinnis, but that went down too. That happened. That did happen. Anything they said it happened, it happened.
Now another story Blue's not aware of. I believe he was at 5-star basketball camp as a youngster.
Yeah, he was wrong. Dead wrong. He was dead wrong.
What happened?
Hey, Blue.
What's up? What happened?
We had 5-star Homesdale. Homesdale is probably the worst basketball camp. Is it still going on? Because I don't want to throw dirt on his name.
I'm not sure.
It was the worst basketball camp in America.
Double down.
Great talent, but it's cold. The food was horrible. It was just horrible. And it's all. I mean, even if he was a nurse, it was men. It was all men. We was in a penitentiary playing basketball. We had guest speaker coming. Mark Jackson, guest speaker. Oh man, Mark Jackson, guest speaker. I can't wait. Oh my God. He showed with Mark.
Your mom.
Yep.
Your mom.
Wait. Oh, I thought you said,
whoa.
She said his mom.
No.
Yo.
I said, whoa, my mom. Come on, man. This is the term for the worst. Hey, no.
Oh, you showed her with my okay.
First
All
of all,
right.
no disrespect. Prettiest woman I've ever seen in my life, man. Not only that it was an all boys camp, like, but you showed up with the prettiest woman I've ever seen in my life. I still don't know what Mark talked about. I don't know what he talked about. I was looking at her I was looking at her the whole time. I couldn't believe it. That was my first introduction to Mark Jackson. I think Steph Marbury was there, and I think he had to make like 10 free throws, and you was gonna give him $100. Probably trying to get him to St. John. Something illegal y'all was doing. But yeah, that was the first time I saw Mark. But I saw the prettiest woman in my life at that point at that camp, and Mark Jackson did. You couldn't tell me nothing about Mark Jackson. Coolest man, and he got the prettiest girl in the world.
I'm like, he told me years later, I'm like, what did you remember about my speech? I prepared and everything. He's like, nothing. not one word.
I swear to God, I looked at your mom. No offense, but if she wasn't your mom,
no offense.
I looked at her the whole time. I can't tell you one thing, dog. One thing.
I appreciate that. She gonna hear this and love that. So that she aging like fine wine too. She's still looking good. So thank you, Alvin. I wish I could say the same for some people. Huh? What?
Oh.
Huh?
Yo, let it go, man. Let it go.
I love you.
Wow. Hey, yo, Mark, I got a question real quick. Hey, yo, who the top 5 point guards out of New York City? Is Sebastian Telfair in there?
Good question.
Body of work? No.
Okay.
You got him in there as body of work?
That, though. Didn't he say he was top 5 or something like that? He said he was better than you.
He may have said he's the GOAT. Who knows?
He said he was better than you, though. He said he was killing you one time.
Yeah,
I did hear that.
Yeah, he was, I think, 13 years old and came in the gym. Think about that. I can understand Kobe doing it and your dad saying Kobe, but Sebastian was a great high school player and turned pro and did some great things in his career, and I'm happy for him, but that did not occur.
Okay. Because New York, man, being in Philly, we always looked at New York guards, and we was like, man, the cream of the crop. Like, you had to try to play against a New York guard. Like, that was always that. But you know what's crazy? The Chicago guards Chicago and Baltimore was always the toughest for me. But New York was always something you looked at. Because they used to have...
What is this dude talking about?
They was tough. They was physical.
You don't want to give props to your neighbor. That's why. I understand. You don't get props. New York is too close. That's why.
No. Baltimore's closer. But they was just physical. I'm not talking about the toughest, the best. They was just more physical. It was physical. It was tough. Like, y'all was like prima donnas a little bit.
You're going to be the first guest to get thrown off the show.
Pops, let's take a break and give a shout out to our sponsors, Underdog Fantasy. Go ahead and click the link in the description and use the promo code MARK. They're matching the first time deposit of up to $250.
Now, this guy's a huge boxing fan. Tell me who would be your ideal boxing match today?
Ideal. I'm a Terrence Crawford guy, man. Like, I like his demeanor. I like his versatility. I like him. And it'd be somebody, I was hoping like a Charlo fight, but I don't see nobody out there that I really would see. But right now would be I would like to see Tank and Shakur Stevens.
Who wins that fight?
I would go with Tank, because I don't know if Shakur can keep Tank off of him. I think Shakur can outbox him. I think Shakur can keep the distance. But Tank, to me, is somebody just like he's polished. He's polished. I think he's underrated being polished as a boxer. And then he got that sledgehammer. And I think that's one of the things that is hard to get out of the way when you have that ability and that sledgehammer. But I would like to see that fight because they're two young, good fighters that's undefeated.
Now, who's the best boxer to come out of Philadelphia?
The best boxer to come out of Philadelphia. See,
and let me just help you. Rocky's not a boxer from Philly.
You know, I really get mad when people be talking about like Rocky. Like I'll be honest with you, man. Like, growing up in Philly, like, you love the movie, the entertainment, but like, black people, we ain't look at like the inspirational, like Rocky was like the underdog. Like, we ain't look at that. Like, we didn't really see that as something like we gonna try to be the next Rocky, like the underdog. I ain't really look at Rocky all like that. Even though I like the movies, but I was more of a Clubber Lane guy. I was a Clubber Lane guy. But I'm gonna say I gotta go Bernard Hopkins, man. Like, I can't really say that the fighters before my time, before seeing, but Bernard Hopkins was a guy for me, man, that I watched Bernard and I watched him come up. I watched his discipline. I watch how he can make fights ugly for the most part. I watch how he prepares. So I would have to go with Bernard, man. Being a reigning champion, how many years as a middleweight, then going up to light heavyweight, being a champion. And I think Bernard, I would have to give it to Bernard Hopkins.
Yeah, I'll help you out so that the comments don't blow up. I'll go with Bernard Hopkins and the great Joe Frazier. So I'll go with both of those guys as the best to ever come out of Philadelphia.
So I didn't see Joe Frazier, but you got guys like Benny Briscoe. You got a lot of guys that people will be like, yo, man, you out of your mind. But yeah, Joe Frazier. But I didn't really get to see Joe Frazier fight too much. But yeah, I would say, but Bernard Hopkins is somebody, man. But yeah, I go, all right, Joe Frazier. I'm not mad at you.
Since we're here, real quick, talking about boxing, Alvin, what's your opinion on this Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney outcome?
He should be banned for life.
Oh, my goodness. For life?
Yeah, man.
What is wrong with this? I didn't know we had Joe Clark on the show.
No, like, Like, honestly, man, that boxing thing, man, you could kill somebody in that ring. And I just think, I'm looking at how Devin Haney's whole head and face was swollen. Like it's just crazy. And then you do have somebody, and I think maybe life is harsh, but when you have somebody like Ryan Garcia, who's he's not Jake Paul. He's not one of these. He's a true boxer. But he has these antics to how to sell fights and how to do all these things. And then you do other things on top of that, man. It left a bitter taste in my mouth. And I think at the end of the day, man, in a sport like boxing, a combat sport, and you give an advantage, and I don't know the whole intricacies of these drugs they're taking and what it does, if it's stamina, if it's I don't know what it is, but when you put somebody in that position and you're doing illegal substance, and you putting people like that's very that's a slippery slope, man. And you like that man Devin Haney. Just imagine if something was to happen, a coma or death, like knock on wood, and this man is cheated. So I think that really has to be checked. That really has to be checked.
I'm with Pops.
Life.
Pops, you got something to say? Because I got something to say.
Go ahead.
I'm with you, and I agree. I agree morally. But at the same time, it is a side of me that when I see Devin Haney now like smiling and like throwing it in our face that he's undefeated again, I don't really need all of that because we did watch you get beat down. So that's the only part of my side. I agree. Give him his undefeated back. Ryan Garcia, suspend him for a year. But I don't need to see all the celebration like we didn't watch him get worked.
Yeah. But you know what's crazy with that? Yeah, he's undefeated by record. But his body took about 3 or 4 losses. he might walk up and fight me next for a tune-up and get tapped. And he might not be the same fighter that he was because he's known for getting rocked. I saw that with Roy Jones. When Roy Jones got, tapped by Tarver, and then I think he went back and forth Glendon Johnson and got knocked. Like he was never the same fighter, that he ever was. So he could be dancing around, but I bet you he might still be hearing that little humming voice in his ear from that last fight. His head probably still humming a little bit.
Last question for me. We ask everybody this. Who is the greatest basketball player of all time, in your opinion?
LeBron James.
Let's go. That's all we need to say. What are we talking about?
You don't want to elaborate?
Yeah.
That's the only answer? You don't want to elaborate?
That is the only answer.
When I was like 13 years old, I went to give Michael Jordan an autograph. He never looked at me.
Come on,
so it's
man.
personal.
Yeah, it's personal.
That's what I'm talking about. We cheering for this man. He ain't even give Alec. Come on, man. He ain't give him an autograph.
That's not how you judge who the best is.
Yeah, I told you my pop had a job for security in baseball, but he was going for the same job in basketball. So we used to get tickets, and he came and played the Sixers. And they ain't had no security. I'm outside the locker room. You couldn't tell me Michael Jordan wasn't going to sit down, chop it up with me, give me a piggyback ride, nothing, dog. I was doing everything with Michael Jordan when I got to meet him. Man, I get Mr. Jordan, may I have your autograph? Never looked at me. All I had was an M and a J on it. It could have been Mark Jackson for all I know. M and J. After that, man, LeBron James been my GOAT ever since.
Yeah.
You called him Mr. Jordan?
Did I? Mr. Jordan. I can't, yeah, it was another situation that he was with. I can't throw them out there, but he was another situation. He wasn't. Now that I got older, I realized he ain't had no time for what I was talking about. LeBron James, man, I just never seen nobody like him. As a basketball player, I've never seen anybody like him at that age, coming into 18, running the team, leading the team, playing the way he plays, man. I know people want him to be a certain way at certain times of the game and this. But he has a different approach. And I think when you compare him to Michael Jordan, I think more fair comparison is a Magic Johnson or something like that. But LeBron James, to me, man, what he's done statistically, impacting the game, how he impacts the game, how he controls it. Like, to me, he's the best player. He's the best player that I've ever seen.
Well said. I can't thank you enough for joining us, man. It's been a heck of a time chopping it up with you, hearing the great stories. I got a lot of respect for you. You're still calling Raptors games moving forward, right?
Yeah, I am. I just signed another 3-year contract, so I'll be there for another 3 years. So, but before I go, man, I just want to always, Blue, I don't know if I ever tell Mark, but you meant so much to me, man. You mean so much to me for my career. It was, a little in the middle of my career, later in my career, but you shaped me so much, man. Just being a chance to be in your car, play next to you, play behind you. It meant a lot. Like I grew up watching you, and it meant a lot. And just being able to talk to you and have jokes with you and talk serious, whatever it is. But it's a pleasure, like just being in your circle, man. So you meant a lot to me. You mean a lot to me, and it's always been a pleasure, man. Just being next to you, dog. So thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, man. Love and appreciate you. Nothing but respect and admiration for all you do and continue to do. That's a
Thank
wrap
you.
for this episode of the Mark Jackson Show. I'm Mark Jackson. That's the Dynamic One Blue. That's our incredible guest, Alvin Williams. Thank you for your love and support. Certainly appreciate you. Remember, in 1954, there was a young kid, a young boy who got his bike stolen from Louisville, Kentucky. His red Swin bike was stolen from him. With tears in his eyes, he found the closest police officer. He went to that police officer and he said, "When I find out who did it, I'm going to whoop him." The police officer looked at the young boy and said, "If you're going to whoop somebody, before you start talking, you better learn how to box." That police officer, Officer Joe Martin, took that young 12-year-old kid under his wing, taught him how to box. That kid did not only change his name, but he changed the course of history. Cassius Clay became Muhammad Ali. The rest is history. You've got something stolen from you. You've lost something. Now it's time to move on. Get over it. It's time to fight. Blessings.